Now, the stall characteristics are different on different airplanes, as I've said, but the stall recovery template, so to speak, is the same. That's true for a Cessna 152 as well as it is for, let's say, a Boeing 737. You need to reduce the angle of attack. A wing is just a wing, and it will have its critical angle of attack, and if that's exceeded, the wing stalls. So reduce the angle of attack, roll the wings level, and then wait for the speed to increase. Normally, for recovery from stalls, we also increase the power to maximum power. That doesn't help us in terms of angle of attack, really, and it's not essentially required. You can just lower the nose, roll the wings level, and then if you don't add any power, of course, to keep a good flying speed, you will have to descend. We add power to minimize our altitude loss. And that's actually important because a stall is not really dangerous normally, except if it develops into a spin, maybe at 8,000 feet above ground, because there is ample time to recover. A stall is dangerous 100 feet above ground. So adding power really helps to minimize the altitude loss, which can be really important close to the ground. Most many airplanes are designed in a way that due to wing twist, the airplane or the wing will stall at the root first, so at the inside here, and will stall later on the outside to keep the ailerons more effective. But in any case, as a recovery, first reduce the angle of attack, and then roll the wings level in a coordinated way. Now first, let's have a look at power on stalls. We practice this to simulate a stall during initial climb out mainly. So you're climbing away from the runway, maybe you're keen to avoid some obstacles, so the nose is really high up. You have full power set, and then you don't pay attention, or you pull the nose up too much in an attempt to avoid some obstacles or whatever, and then you enter the stall with full power set. Now the template recovery is the same. Get the nose down, so release back pressure or apply some forward pressure. And as you have already full power set, there's nothing to do about that. Roll the wings level and then climb away at a safe speed, or return to the desired flight path, whatever it may be. And then we have the power off stall. We are training this because many dangerous situations occur at low altitude in a traffic pattern, especially for when turning from base to final. It often happens that if you turn to final too late, you overshoot final. Maybe you even have a tailwind or something, you overshoot. You may be already slow as well, and then you try to force the airplane back to the final approach. Maybe even adding a lot of rudder into the turn, which makes the outer wing accelerate, the inner wing decelerate, and in the worst case has the inner wing stall, and you enter a stall and spin, which is not recoverable close to the ground. So that's why we practice the recovery from power off stalls as well. Well, template is pretty much the same, of course. You need to reduce your angle of attack, also in this case. So get the nose down, roll the wings level. If it happens in a turn, like you turn on final, roll the wings level in a coordinated way. No excessive aileron, no excessive rudder, just coordinated turn back to wings level. And then at the same time, apply full power to minimize altitude loss. And then with a safe airspeed, climb away. And then as the speed increases, retract the flaps incrementally. And also, if you have retractable gear, retract the gear. One common error here is to use an excessively low pitch attitude. It's understandable. You want to get the nose down, of course, and that's fine. But many students, especially at first, they overdo it. I think also some already certified pilots, if they practice that, overdo it. So they push the nose down really hard and they go almost into a dive and they lose 200 feet of altitude unnecessarily, actually. You don't need to dive to break the stall. What you have to do is to reduce the angle of attack below the critical one. And normally, in my experience in the airplanes I know, it's sufficient to just get the nose down to approximately maybe wings level, approximately, apply power, and it's only important to get the angle of attack just below the critical angle of attack. And I don't say lower the nose just a little bit, 1 degree below critical, because this is will cause a secondary stall very easily. Get it down noticeably, of course, but don't overdo it. That's just all I'm saying. And then you can really minimize the altitude loss. Okay, basically we're doing 2 types of stall recovery training. First is with an impending stall, and that's what you should do in real life. If the stall is impending, so if you hear a stall warning, if you feel the buffeting, then recover. Don't let it develop into a full stall. But of course, during stall training, we also train full stall recoveries. Okay, so when we are training this, we will need to make sure that we have sufficient altitude, because if we inadvertently enter a spin, for example, we really want to have some altitude below us to recover. Of course, clear the area for traffic as usual. And then for the power on stall, it's pretty self-explanatory. Just get the nose up until the stall. And for the power off stall, just keep your altitude. As the speed decreases, extend the flaps and gear if you have, and then simulate some kind of landing approach during which you then start to get the nose up more and more until the stall, and then recover. One important term is accelerated stall. Well, what's an accelerated stall? Accelerated stall actually is a stall whenever the G load is more than 1. So it's basically any time you're in a turn, the wings are banked, then you will have an accelerated stall. Be aware, of course, that the stall speed is increased if you're turning. Also, an accelerated stall, the chance for a spin, one wing stalling, and the airplane entering a spin is increased. So be aware of that. We will do a separate lesson on spin awareness. Now, as the last item to discuss, I'd like to talk about secondary stalls. A secondary stall happens if the first stall recovery wasn't adequate, so not done correctly, the angle of attack has not been reduced enough. This might be an attempt to reduce to the desired flight path earlier than it's warranted. So maybe you can take that case, you need to clear some obstacles, and you pull the nose up, you enter a stall, you recover from the stall, but still the obstacles are still there, so you are tempted to recover just a little bit and then pull up again, and then you'll enter a secondary stall. Now, there's no difference between a secondary and a primary stall in recovery, just do the same, but if the secondary stall happens, obviously you haven't recovered properly the first time, so the second time really do it properly, reduce the angle of attack,